The twin suns of the desert planet burned hot. The ground cracked under the heat. A crowd of aliens gathered near the trading post, voices loud, laughter cruel. And in the middle of them stood her, a tall alien girl, body wrapped in a thin, torn sheet that did little to hide her wide hips and full chest. Her eyes were down. Her arms hugged her body. Shame burned inside her like fire. She's too soft, too full, too wide to breed. Her stepfather shouted. He was drunk again, red-skinned and swaying. His voice echoed in the dry air. She's useless to me. Just one bottle of engine fuel, and she's yours. The aliens around him laughed. One tossed a stone. Another spat near her feet. She didn't react. Her name didn't matter anymore. Not here. Not today. She had known this day would come. He had talked about it for weeks. He said she cost too much to feed. Said she was a failed female. No male wants a pillow beast. He had slurred. Now, here she was. Sold like scrap. But one person in the crowd didn't laugh. He stood near the edge, quiet, human, eyes hidden under a dusty cap. His clothes were worn. A long coat covered most of his body. A small satchel hung by his side. His face was unreadable. His skin pale against the blazing light. He didn't speak. He just watched. The stepfather saw him and grinned. You, human? Want a pet? Big girl like this, soft to sleep on, if you like curves. The girl flinched, but the human didn't move. Then, slowly he stepped forward. He pulled something from his bag, a glass bottle filled with a glowing green liquid. Fuel. He raised it without a word, and held it out. The crowd hushed. Even the stepfather blinked in surprise. You serious? The human nodded once. Fine. The stepfather shouted, snatching the bottle. He pushed the girl forward. She stumbled into the human, her legs weak, her body trembling. She didn't meet his eyes. She waited for the slap. For the chain. For the harsh order, but nothing happened. The human turned and walked away. And without a word, he gestured for her to follow. She looked around. Her stepfather was already drinking. The aliens had lost interest. No one stopped her. So she walked behind the human. Step by step, 1 foot after the other, they left the trading post and walked toward the cliffs. The wind was dry. Dust flew everywhere. Still, the human didn't speak. He just kept walking until they reached an old stone shelter built into the side of a hill. Inside it was cool, dark, safe. He set down his bag and opened a small box. He pulled out a metal cup, poured clean water into it, and handed it to her. She stared at it. Then at him. No chain? She asked softly. He shook his head. No collar? He shook his head again. Then what do you want me to do? The human finally spoke. Sit, drink, rest. His voice was low, calm. She took the cup. Her hands shook. She drank slowly, tasting clean water for the first time in weeks. He turned away and began preparing something on a small burner. Food. Smells of salt and spice filled the air. Why did you buy me? She asked. He didn't look at her. To stop them from taking you. She blinked. That's it, he nodded. But I'm useless. I'm too big, too soft. That's what they said. He paused, then said quietly, they were wrong. Her chest tightened. She didn't know why. He handed her a bowl of warm food. She sat in the corner and ate like a starving animal. No one had fed her like this in years. She kept glancing at him, waiting for the change, for the moment he would demand her body. But it didn't come. He sat by the fire, arms crossed, watching the flames, silent. Still, she whispered, you don't want me? He looked up. His eyes were kind but distant. You're not something to want or not want, he said. You're someone. That word someone hit her like thunder. No one had called her that in a long time. Later, when he fell asleep by the fire, she stayed awake. And when the moon rose over the dunes, she stood up quietly. She had made a choice. She would run, because No man gave without taking. Not in this world. She slipped out of the shelter, heart pounding. But behind her, unseen in the shadows, the human opened one eye watching, waiting. The desert was cold at night. The heat of the twin suns faded, and sharp winds cut across the sand. She ran barefoot, her long legs pushing through the dark, her body trembling with fear and doubt. She didn't know where she was going. She just had to get away. He couldn't be real. No man gave food and water without wanting something later. That's what her stepfather always said. That's what every male she ever met had proven. Even those who looked kind at first, eventually they turned. So she ran before he could change his mind. Her soft feet were bleeding now, cut by sharp stones. Her arms wrapped tightly around her body, trying to hide from the cold. Her breath came in short gasps, but still, she ran. Behind her, the small light from the human's fire grew smaller and smaller, until it was gone. She was alone. Again, just like before. Hours passed. She collapsed under a dead tree near the edge of a dried river. Her legs gave out. Her chest hurt from breathing. Her thoughts twisted in her mind like knives. Why had she hesitated? Why did she feel so warm when he looked at her? Why did his words stay inside her like soft fire? You're someone. No one had called her that since her mother died. She wiped her tears roughly and tried to rest, but a sound made her freeze. Footsteps. Soft, steady, human. She tried to stand but couldn't. Then a shadow appeared above her. It was him, the human. He knelt down slowly, not speaking. She curled into herself, whispering, "You followed me." He nodded. "I told you you were free. I didn't say I'd leave you." She looked up confused. "Then why?" He took out his satchel and pulled out water. He held it out. "You left in the night with no supplies," he said. "I figured you might want to live." She stared at him. "You're not angry?" He shrugged. "Why would I be? I ran away. You were scared." Her lips trembled. "Aren't you going to punish me?" No, she couldn't speak. Her throat close. Then he opened his coat and pulled out a soft folded cloth. He handed it to her. "For your feet." They sat together in silence. She wrapped her feet carefully. The cloth was warm. He offered her a small piece of dried fruit. She took it without looking at him. "You're different," she whispered. "Or maybe everyone else was just wrong," he replied. She finally looked up. His eyes were kind, but there was something else. A deep stillness. A pain he didn't talk about. "You lost someone too," she said. He nodded once. "A long time ago." She lowered her head. "I don't even know your name." I was called Shira." He smiled softly. "Nice to meet you, Shira." It felt strange. Like something real. Something warm. She didn't know how to carry that feeling. Later, as they walked back to the shelter, she limped beside him. "You really bought me to stop them?" "Yes. Not for anything else?" "No. Not even for breeding?" He stopped walking. Turned to her. "I don't care what they called you," he said. "Your body is your own, not mine." Her chest ached. But this ache was different. Not pain. Something else. Maybe hope. They reached the shelter before dawn. She sat beside the fire again. This time by choice. Jlen handed her another bowl of warm food. She ate slowly, looking at him. "You know," she said, "I was supposed to be a breeder. My mother said I had strong hips, soft skin. But my people thought I was too much. Males didn't want big, they wanted small." He nodded. "Then your people were fools." She laughed quietly. It was the first time she had laughed in years. "You don't think I'm too much?" He looked her in the eye. "No, Shira, I think you're just enough." But while she rested, somewhere far behind the cliffs, trouble was already brewing. A message was sent from the trading post. A bounty. Runaway female. Stolen by a human. Valuable property. Her stepfather had sobered up just enough to realize Something. He had traded away something far more valuable than he knew, and now he wanted her back. The days passed quietly. Shira stayed in the shelter, though she could have run again. She didn't. Not because she trusted him fully, but because for the first time in her life, she didn't feel hunted. Ian never touched her without asking. He never raised his voice. He let her sleep when she was tired, eat when she was hungry, and speak only when she wanted to. But the silence between them started to feel heavy, not cold. Just full of things unsaid. One evening, she sat near the small fire he built with pieces of broken ship metal. The stars above sparkled like shattered ice. The wind was soft, peaceful. She was wrapped in a blanket. He was cleaning the barrel of a small plasma tool. Shira spoke, voice quiet. You know, when I was young, I used to pray for a mate. Yalan looked up, but said nothing. I thought if someone chose me, I would finally matter, she said. But every male laughed. Sighed I was too much, said I would crush them. Her fingers tightened around the blanket. My stepfather told me no one would ever want me. That my softness was weakness, that my size was shame. Yalan didn't interrupt. He just listened, and that made her speak more. My mother died protecting me. She told me to never let them change me, but I did. I became smaller inside. I stopped hoping. She turned her face toward him, her eyes shining in the firelight. Do you think some people are just not made to be loved? Yalan set his tool down slowly. He looked at her, truly looked. Then he said, No, I think some people are just born in the wrong place around the wrong voices. She blinked, breathing shaking. He leaned closer gently. And I think your softness isn't weakness, it's strength. You survived what should have broken you. Shira looked down. No one had ever said that to her. Not once. Later that night, a sandstorm rose. The wind howled. The roof trembled. Jalen rushed to seal the edges with metal plates. Shira helped, using her strong arms to push against the shaking walls. When it was over, the inside was dusty and cold, but safe. He collapsed near the wall, exhausted. She brought him water and for the first time touched his shoulder. You okay? She asked. He smiled. Thanks to you. She looked away, flustered. I'm not used to helping. I was always told I was only good for one thing. What thing? He asked gently. She didn't answer, but her silence said enough. He nodded. They were wrong. She sat beside him, very close. Hours passed. Both were quiet. The fire grew small. Shira slowly pulled her blanket around both of them. He tensed but relaxed when she whispered, I'm just cold. Nothing else. I know. He replied, but their shoulders touched. And in the soft light, her eyes met his. There was no fear in them, only wonder. The next morning, they woke early. Jalen left to trade for supplies. Shira stayed behind, feeding the small desert birds with crumbs. She was humming. Her lips curved in a soft smile. She felt something growing inside. Her. Not love yet, but warmth. Until a sound outside. The cave made her freeze. Boots. Harsh voices. Shira rushed to hide. Outside, a patrol of desert guards walked up. Alien men, armed and cold-eyed. Jalen returned from the other side, too late to hide. Show your ID. One guard barked. Jalen handed them a forged pass. I'm just passing through. The guard looked past him, saw a blanket and 2 bowls. Traveling alone? Yes. Then, why 2 bowls? Before Yalan could lie again, Shira stepped out slowly, her eyes steady. Her back straight. She's with me, Yalan said quickly. My wife. The word hung in the air. The guard narrowed his eyes. A human, with her? Yalan nodded once. Yes, is that a problem? The guard studied them. Then laughed. Keep your beast human. You'll tire of her fast. They walked away. Shira stood still, shocked. You called me your wife, she whispered. He looked at her calmly. Would you rather I left you? No, she said. But do you mean it? Yalin hesitated, then spoke with quiet strength. I meant every word. Shira's eyes welled with tears, not because she was weak, but because, for the first time, she finally felt seen. That night, the sky turned dark and heavy. A cold rain fell for the first time in weeks, turning the dry air into steam. Inside the rocky shelter, Shira sat by the fire, staring into the flames. Her thoughts were loud. Too loud. Jlen was fixing a broken communicator, his fingers quiet but skilled. She looked at him again. This man had not once looked at her like the others, not like her body was a burden, not like she was shameful, but she still felt broken inside. Shira stood up. I want to bathe, she said softly. Jalen glanced up. There's a pool behind the rocks. It gathers water when it rains. She nodded and wrapped the blanket around her body. I'll give you space, he added, turning away. She paused. No comment. No smirk, no request to watch. Just respect. It confused her. And comforted her. Behind the rocks, she found the pool. It was small, but the water was clear. Steam rose from it into the night. She stepped in slowly. The water was cold at first, but soothed her sore legs and bruised arms. Her skin felt new under the touch of water. It was the first real bath she'd had in months. She touched her arms, her hips, her face. For a moment, she saw herself not as too big, not as unwanted, but as a woman simply trying to survive. Then, something caught her eye. On her inner thigh, just above her knee, a faded mark glowed faintly in the steam. She gasped. It was a birthmark, but not just any mark. In her culture, it was called the line of life, a rare sign believed to appear on females who could bring strong bloodlines. It was a mark of blessing, but she had never seen it before. Her stepfather had hidden it, always made her wear long coverings, always beat her if she ever looked too closely at herself. No one wants a beast, he had said. No one wants you. But now. She stared at the glowing line. Was he wrong? Was she not broken? She returned to the shelter, body still dripping. She wore nothing but the blanket. Her skin glistened in the firelight. Her eyes were wide, not with fear, but wonder. Jalen looked up and quickly turned away. Sorry, he said. I didn't think you'd. It's okay, she said softly. You can look. He turned back slowly. She stood tall, her full form wrapped loosely, shoulders bare, curves visible. I found something, she whispered. She walked closer and sat across from him, the fire between them. She pulled the edge of the blanket back, just enough to show her leg. The line, she said. It's real. Yalin leaned forward, eyes narrowing. A thin mark glowed on her skin, soft blue, shaped like a curling vine. His voice was low. That's rare, she nodded. My people said I was too full to breed, but this mark. It says the opposite. It says I could carry strong children. She looked up, tears in her eyes. All this time, I wasn't useless. He just didn't want me. Yalin reached across the fire, not to touch her, but to hold her hand. She let him. That night, she didn't sleep on the far side of the shelter. She curled up beside him. Her head rested near his chest. He said nothing, just held her. Gently, like she was something precious, like she mattered. She whispered, if I wasn't too big. Would someone have chosen me? I would have, he said. She closed her eyes, heart full. But peace never lasted long in the desert. Far away, under a metal tent lit by green lights, her stepfather stared at a HOLO-screen. Next to him stood a bounty hunter, a reptilian mercenary with glowing eyes and a cold smile. I want her back, the stepfather growled. Alive, her body's worth more than I thought. The bounty hunter nodded. And the human? The stepfather lit a smoke. Stick and grinned. Make him disappear. The morning sun rose slow and heavy, turning the dunes gold. Yalan woke first as always. But this time, Shira didn't flinch when he gently nudged her shoulder. She opened her eyes, sleepy but calm. Her head had rested on his chest the whole night. No chains. No fear. Just the sound of his heartbeat. They shared breakfast in silence. Sweet root slices and warm grain broth. Then Shira looked toward the east. Beyond the dunes. "I want to walk," she said. Jlen nodded. "We'll go together." They walked for hours, side by side. The desert had no roads, only memories written in the sand. Shira stepped with care, her body stronger now. Her eyes scanned the distance not with fear, but with curiosity. Then she saw something, a shape in the sand, too small to be an adult, too still to be. Asleep. She ran ahead. It was a child, alien, small and curled up in torn rags, skin pale violet, thin arms, hair matted with dust, bare feet cracked and bleeding, but still breathing. Shira dropped to her knees. Her hands hovered above the child's small frame, unsure where to touch. "Yalan, help!" He was already beside her, checking for signs of life. "She's weak," he said, barely hanging on. "Please," Shira whispered. "Please don't let her die." They gave her water, slowly. Drops on dry lips. A few at a time. The girl's eyes fluttered open. Glowing silver, fearful, but she didn't scream. She stared at Shira. Then reached out and touched her face. They carried the child back to the shelter. Yalan made soup. Shira cleaned the girl with warm cloths. She wrapped her in a soft shirt and laid her beside the fire. "Where is her family?" Yalan asked. Shira shook her head. "Maybe lost or sold like me." The girl didn't speak, but she watched Shira closely. Her small fingers never let go of Shira's hand. As night fell, the child finally spoke one word. "Mama." Shira froze, her lips parted. "Mama," the child said again, soft, certain. Jalen looked over, eyes wide. Shira whispered, "She thinks I'm her mother." "She wants you to be," he said. Later, as the child slept, Shira gently moved the girl's shirt to check her bruises. That's when she saw it. The same glowing mark, the line of life. Shira gasped. "It's same as mine," she said. "Exactly." "The same." Yalan came closer. There it was, just above the knee. A glowing blue vine mark. Same size. Same shape. "What does it mean?" he asked. Shira sat back, heart racing. "In my culture," she said, "this only appears in strong bloodlines, rare. Females with ancient traits. It's passed down, from mother to child." She looked at him, stunned. "But I've never had a child." Yalan was silent. The girl stirred. Reached for Shira in her sleep. And Shira held her close. "She was abandoned," Yalan said. "Left. To die. Maybe someone wanted her gone because of the mark. Or maybe," Shira whispered, "she's a part of me. Not by blood, but by fate." She stroked the girl's hair gently. "For the first time, someone needed me. Not for my body, not for a trade, just needed." That night, Shira held the child while she slept. Her body, once hated, now became a shelter. Her arms, once called too big, now protected something small and precious. She whispered into the girl's ear, "You're safe now, I promise." And for the first time in her life, she felt like a mother, but not far away. Danger was closing in. The bounty hunter had arrived in the region. He scanned tracks in the sand, picked up broken cloth fibers, saw drops of blood from small feet. He smiled, not cruelly, just coldly. "You can run," he said to the wind, "but I always collect what I'm paid for." And he walked forward toward the woman who had found something worth dying for. The desert wind changed. It carried a scent one Yalan recognized before he even opened. His eyes. Metal. Gun oil. Trouble. He stepped outside the shelter just after dawn. Shira was still asleep, the child curled against her chest. The fire had burned low, but Yalan's instincts were wide awake. He knelt, touched the sand. and saw it. Boot tracks. Not his. Not hers. Someone was close. He turned quickly, stepped inside, and gently shook Shira awake. She blinked. What is it? We need to move, he whispered. Now. They packed fast. Jalen stuffed tools, food, and water into a canvas pack. Shira wrapped the child tight in a blanket and held her close. The girl whimpered, half awake, eyes confused but trusting. Is it slavers? Shira asked. Yalen didn't answer, but the look in his eyes said yes and worse. They left the shelter behind. Just as the sun rose, the bounty hunter reached the same cave. He moved like a machine, slow, silent, precise. He picked up a strand of silver hair, held it to the light. Still warm. They're close, he said to himself, and he kept walking. Jalen, Shira, and the girl climbed a rocky slope. Sand blew against their faces. They moved toward a canyon. Yalen remembered, narrow, hard to spot from above. A good place to hide. The child was getting heavy. Shira's arms burned. Her legs ached, but she didn't stop. Not this time. She had something worth carrying. When they reached the canyon, they found an old ship frame, rusted, buried halfway in the rocks. Yalen pulled open the hatch. Inside was dry, cold, and empty. Rest. Here, he told Shira. Just for a moment. She laid the girl down gently. She's warm, Shira said. Is that bad? Yalen touched her forehead. Mild fever. Could be the stress. She needs rest. And safety, Shira added. He looked at her. I'll make sure she gets both. But before he could say more, a sound echoed through the canyon. A low, clicking growl. Then a voice. Deep. Mocking. Double quotes. I expected more from a human. Hiding in rust. Like a rodent? Yalen stepped outside. The bounty hunter stood 10 meters away, tall, armored, cold green eyes shining under his mask. Shira appeared beside Yalen, her hands shaking, but her body firm. You came for me, she said. The bounty hunter nodded. You belong to your owner. I'm not property, she growled. Tell that to the one who sold you. He offered triple to bring you back alive. Yalen stepped forward. She's not going anywhere with you, the bounty hunter laughed. Then die with her. He raised his plasma rifle. Jalen moved fast, pulling Shira back. A red beam cracked into the metal wall behind them. Sparks flew. The child screamed. Shira grabbed the girl and shielded her with her body. Another blast came. Yalen rolled behind the rocks and fired back with his sidearm. One shot clipped the bounty hunter's leg, but it wasn't enough. The bounty hunter kept walking forward. Unbothed, until Shira stood up. Her arms wrapped around the child. Her eyes locked on the hunter. You want to take her? She shouted. You'll have to come through me. The bounty hunter paused. She's just a breeder, he said. What are you going to do? I'm going to remind you, Shira growled. What happens when you underestimate something too soft to fight? She stepped forward slowly. The ground trembled beneath her heavy steps. Her full figure moved with strength, not shame. She grabbed a rusted pipe from the sand and swung it hard right into the bounty hunter's ribs. He gasped. Didn't expect that. Didn't expect her. He stumbled back, raising his rifle again, but Yalen was already on him. He slammed the butt of his gun into the hunter's helmet. It cracked. The bounty hunter fell. Dazed. Jalen pointed the gun at his chest. If you follow us again, you'll leave in pieces. The bounty hunter didn't reply. He knew he was beaten. They dragged his body to the edge of the rocks, left him unconscious but alive. Shira collapsed beside the girl, shaking. Jalen sat beside her, breath ragged. You fought, he said softly. Shira nodded. For her. She looked at the child, still crying, still scared. But also, she whispered, for me. Yalen took her hand. You're not hunted anymore, he said. You're home now. Far above, the wind moved the sand again, covering the footprints. Behind them, a new path waited ahead. One Shira would walk not as something sold but as something chosen. The stars were brighter than they had ever been. Yalan sat at the edge of the cliff, fixing the old radio by lantern light. Shira stood behind him, the little girl asleep against her chest, wrapped in a warm blanket. For the first time in her life, Shira wasn't watching for danger. She was watching the man who gave her safety. Not just safety. Choice. Days had passed since the bounty hunter fell. He hadn't returned. And her stepfather, drunk, careless, had likely moved on to ruin someone else's life. But Shira wasn't waiting to be found anymore. She had decided. She had chosen herself. In the cave they now called home, Yalan had cleared a corner and built a proper sleeping area. Not one made of scraps but of care. Shira now wore a soft cloak, handmade by her. Her body no longer hid behind shame. Her curves were wrapped in pride, in survival, in strength. She no longer flinched when Yalan came close. She leaned into his warmth. The child, who still hadn't shared her name, began smiling more, talking softly, eating without fear. Some nights, Shira told her stories about the stars, about her mother, about things she never got to say when she was young. And every time the girl laid her head in Shira's lap, something inside her healed. One evening, as the wind danced with the fire, Shira sat beside Yalan and asked, "Why did you buy me that day?" "Really?" Yalan paused, looking into the flame. "You look like someone no one had ever chosen. And I know how that feels." Shira blinked. "You were unwanted too?" He nodded. "Lost someone. Long ago. After that, I stopped seeing the point in bonding with people, until I saw you," she whispered. "And now?" He turned to her, eyes soft. "Now I see you." Shira took a long breath, then stood. She walked toward the far side of the cave where the shadows stretched deep, and came back holding something, a small stone knife she'd carved herself. She knelt in front of Yalan and held it out. In her culture, this gesture meant willing unity. It wasn't marriage. It wasn't surrender. It was a promise, a saying, "I choose you. If you choose me." Yalan looked at her, not with surprise, but with quiet understanding. He took the knife, placed it gently beside her, then reached for her hand. "I choose you," he said, "not because I saved you, but because I see the fire in you now, and I want to stand beside it." Shira didn't cry, not this time. She smiled. Later that night, as the stars watched and the desert wind slowed, Shira laid beside Yalan. The child was asleep near the fire, breathing peacefully. Shira looked up. "I was told I was too full to be loved, too wide to bear life, too soft to fight." She turned her head to Yalan. "But now..." He traced his finger gently over the mark on her leg, the glowing blue vine. "You were never too full," he said. "They were just too small." Weeks passed. Their shelter became a home. A traveler's ship arrived one day, an old friend of Yalan's, and brought supplies, tools, and something more. Away off this forgotten world. Jalen looked at Shira. She looked at the girl, then nodded. They boarded the ship together, leaving behind the sand and pain, but carrying the strength it gave them. Somewhere out in the galaxy, a report was filed: missing female, never recovered, presumed dead. Property loss, closed. But they were wrong. She wasn't missing. She was alive, holding a child who called her mama, loving a man who never asked her to be less. She was full of love, of strength. Of future. And no one would ever sell her again. Because Shira had never been broken, only waiting to rise.